Cloud9 is absolutely cruising. Meanwhile, Evil Geniuses climbing to second place, battling with TSM and FlyQuest in that second position. Immortals rounding out the top 5. Very impressive. When we take a look at the bottom 5, 100 Thieves still in it. And look at Team Liquid. Now, next week's going to be a very interesting week. Team Liquid still in it for all intents and purposes mathematically, but my goodness, do they have a massive climb, especially who they're facing next week in order to even try and qualify for the playoffs. Speaking of Team Liquid, we should mention, Jacob, Doublelift reaching 1,500 kills in regular season LCS, which really begs the question, Jacob, when you see Doublelift's accomplishments, even if you take away his thoughts on Spring Split and what he's had to do this season, this split in particular in 2020, it speaks for itself what he has done historically. Is he the greatest LCS player of all time?
I think he's certainly up there among them. I think the only other person I would argue for in that slot would be Bjergsen. I think that Bjergsen is done there, but Bjergsen's not played in the LCS as long as Doublelift has, right? He did not play any of the 2013 season. Doublelift did have that one split hiatus, but I think overall, looking at it, I think that the Doublelift, I would say Doublelift is the best player that is in the LCS of all time. I'm not saying from a raw skill perspective, but from a longevity versus his contribution to the league and his contribution to the teams that he has played on. Yes, he's won multiple championships on multiple different teams. I think that is very notable across the board, but I think he does have some stiff competition in his former teammate Bjergsen.
We were watching, we did a watch along last Thursday where Doublelift was he wasn't part of the finals of the very first, the 2011 championships, world championships, whatever you want to call them. That's, by the way, the VOD is available on Twitch right now. And Doublelift was on one of those teams. So, I mean, the longevity speaks for itself. But their streak of 4 consecutive split wins, Emily, might be in jeopardy. Can this team reach the playoffs, especially if they have to get through FlyQuest and Cloud9 next week in order to even qualify?
The Cloud9 game is what I'm looking at is going to be the most difficult one. I think for TL, it's just been problem after problem after problem, and all of them have been pretty much out of the team's control. With Broxa not being able to get his visa, so they had to start with Schernfire, which delays like any sort of team synergy that they would be trying to build, coupled with Doublelift getting sick and Tactical coming in, and then the benching, and then it's a lot, like one after one, like one thing after the other. So at this point for TL, the main issue is that they have a losing record against both Evil Geniuses and Immortals, which is really important for like head-to-head when you're looking at this like mess of ties that could end up happening. So, I mean, I'm not going to like put anything. I think TL has the talent to do it, and they're only two games back, right? If we have FlyQuest, EG, or TSM completely dropping, like this entire mid section is still such a mess that I'm not going to say like, oh, it's all doom and gloom for TL, because I feel like any of these teams, save C9, can pretty much lose or win against each other at this point. So
do they have the tiebreaker against Immortals? I guess I'm wondering, because I think
they lost to Immortals twice.
Yeah.
Xmithy's revenge. Xmithy got his revenge,
right.
and
That's right.
having a 2-0 record.
So that means
Immortals has
then
never looked better, in my opinion, than that their last game against TL. To be
so
honest.
right now,
Immortals
at 8-8. Immortals at 8-8 right now. Liquid, even if they were to tie Immortals for that last spot, they wouldn't get in. So they don't necessarily have their own. They don't have their own fate in their own hands necessarily.
They need Immortals to lose both games this week.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the. Which again, like it's like this has been the problem with NA all year though. Is that can I definitively say that Immortals will win, like will not lose both of their games? No, I can't.
I mean, Immortals play Dignitas.
Most of these teams. Yeah, most of these teams haven't been consistent. I think Immortals could go 2-0 this coming week. I think they could go 1-1, and I think they could go 0-2.
I would say it's unlikely that they do. I think that they could certainly beat Dignitas, but I do think, and we're going to talk about this, I think Evil Genius is on a hot streak that's going to continue, and this is a good time for them to strike the match, right? So I think that Immortals is more likely to go 1-1 or 0-2 than they are to go 2-0.